Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in last week's episode, I showed you how you could create content with a form input. This week, I'm going to show you how you can create content for social media as well as blogging with no inputs whatsoever. So this is how we can create content on autopilot or create briefs that save heaps of time for you and your content team to be able to generate content quickly at scale with lots of fresh ideas. If you haven't seen the first video, I highly recommend you go check it out. Otherwise, just please stay tuned and I'll show you exactly how you can make a content system that will generate content completely on autopilot by researching, scheduling, and even posting without any human intervention. Before we start, I want to give you a quick overview of the process of how we can create this content. Really, what we're going to do to create content on autopilot is reverse engineer the process of which we would create content as a human. Now, humans can spawn ideas organically, machines can't, but one way that we can counteract some of the deficit in machine intelligence is by using different input sources. From there, we need to go through a research and creation process, and then an internal process, and then a posting process. So inputs are very important. They give us a diversity of content. They also ensure that our content sources are robust and come from credible sources. So this is the interface I'm going to build today. Last week, we focused on blogs. So I showed you how to build the interface for blogs. But this week, we're going to focus on social media. We want to build a social media content management system whereby we have the capability to sort by platform. We might want to sort by publishing date. And all these are the features that you'd find in the most popular content management systems on the planet right now to compete so that our clients or our business will be very happy and satisfied and it's easier to manage. And then lastly, I'm going to show you how to build a content creation system that will look a little bit like this. This was the V1 version for Stop AI. It has been upgraded since then, but I want to show you the basis of how you can create a model that works for you. So today we're going to start with the Airtable, a bit like we did last time by filling out these columns and seeing the type of content or the structure of the content that we need to publish through the API of the corresponding social media platform. We're going to give it a name, and I'm going to call this name topic. And the topic might in the future link up with the blog, such as we want the topic area to be related to a blog. So we can create a blog and then make social media content about the blog. It also gives us an idea of where that content input came from. Next, we're going to want the content that we want to publish or the copy. I'm going to delete these fields and instead I am going to add image. So that would be an attachment, which we will call image. And then we'll do the same for video as well, as we can have videos on social media. I'll also create a link for the Google Drive. If you had seen the previous video, you would know that I am a big fan of keeping and organizing content. Like with the blogs, we're going to need a publishing date. So we'll call this one publish date, so we know when the content will be published. Then I'm going to create another field called platform, which we're going to have a single select. So we'll call this one platform. And we'll just add a couple today to keep it simple. So we'll do Facebook and Instagram. Now I'm going to stop for a moment just to tell you that it is important what these labels are. See, we're going to send different content to the API in a different way based on whether it is just text, based on whether it is video, based on whether it's an IG reel. We need to say Facebook image, Instagram image, and then we'd also need Facebook reel, and we'd need an Instagram reel as well. So we'll keep it simple today, and I'll just show you based on these 4 platforms. But you can imagine if you have YouTube or carousels in Instagram, they're going to require you to add more options so that we can choose a path for that content to go down when we come to publish it. I'll explain more on this later in the video. Like blogs, we're also going to need to know the status, so we can do another single select. The status we will call scheduled and published. As well, we could also do draft or archived. It's entirely up to you. Like with the blogs example, we're going to look for if the content is ready to be sent to the API. And if it's not scheduled and it's set as draft, then it won't do it. Again, more will become much clearer later on in the video when I show you how that is done. And then finally, we need the final one, which we're going to have as a link, which we will call social media webhook. Okay, great. So let's just leave it like this. It might not be perfect. I might have to revisit this, but we're just going to jump into the interface now, and I'll show you how to set up the interface. So in the final version, we want more than blog. So at the moment, we've got these different outputs. I'm going to quickly change this one to blogs, as this is going to be the blogs. Now we want one as social media, so that we have the social media interface. So we can call this one social media. And we want a list. I mean, we can select different ones. It's entirely up to you. But let's start with a list, okay? And the list will be from the social media outputs. Okay, you can already see Airtable's very smart. It's able to start giving us these filters with these different names. So we can just publish this and update everything. And if we needed to share it in the future, we can do. So this would be the social media gallery view. Just jump out so that we can edit it. And maybe we want to change it to overview in this case. Okay, so this is where we're going to see all of the content. We might also want to add a few more columns, such as the content link or the publishing date, which would be quite important if you're a social media manager, and also the status. Later in the video, we're going to create an automation that will read the status column and look to update it. And if it's not got a parameter such as scheduled, then it won't be able to be updated, so it won't be sent or published to the API. And that's just one way that we can control the information that is published onto our social media channels. But for now, that's how we create the interface. And if we needed to or want to, we can always add more pages to this by selecting different layouts. So you might want a gallery view, and it's the same format. You just come in here, click gallery view, press finish, and now you've got two different ways to view the same content. Quickly just jumping back into this overview here, I will start to explain what we mean by inputs, to how we're going to make that make.com model generate content. So we always want to be able to generate content based upon a robust source. So today I'm going to show you two ways that we can do this with RSS, as well as generating ideas at random based upon the products that this business has. I'm going to show you very simplified versions. Of course, you can go and make it way more complex, way more robust, and there's loads of different tactics that you can use to make it super robust. Now, after we've looked at the inputs, we want to be able to research every single input. We want to add detail, add information. This is going to be a social media contents, but before we create the social media contents, we're actually going to create a blog. It will just give us more content, but it will also make sure that any blogs that we publish come along with an associated social media post to tie up the whole ecosystem. We can also use text parsers to parse out key phrases or even URLs to create content with those URLs inside of either the blog or the social media channel. And then internal processes. This is about reviewing the content that's made. I won't focus so much on this today. Every single business has a different workflow. As mentioned, some people prefer to check on the interface, whereas others might want to check on their WordPress site. With social media, though, we always review this inside our content creation system. There's no way to really draft content onto the social media channel to be reviewed. It usually just gets published. So we have to double check everything inside of the content system. And then finally, posting. Now you can draft WordPress articles, you can draft Shopify blogs, but we want to know whether we're going to publish that immediately or whether we're going to draft it. With social media, we're going to publish it because we're reviewing in the app. With a blog, we put this onto our client. We go, what would you prefer? They let us know what they prefer, and we do what they want because they're the client. In the end of the day, we want to make them happy. And then finally, there's optimizing. So we want to optimize on the tone, the structure. We want it to have our brand voice. Different types of content, you might want different captions. You might have a preferable way to write your content. Yes, we can do it all manually, but wouldn't it be awesome if we could just adjust the GPT modules that create the content to help us make it go faster so that it comes out in a tone that we like or a length of post that we like, whether it has hashtags or no hashtags. That is where we need to optimize the machine to fit our strategy. So as we've just mentioned, there's different ways to create strategies. Now I'm going to start with a router. And what this router will effectively enable us to do is start to create two different strategies for two different content pillars within the business. So one content pillar might be to create content around a product that they have on their website. So just kick that off, I'm probably going to need a RSS or a HTTP module. We'll use a HTTP module so that we can scrape information from a web page. And then on the other side, we will need a RSS feed. Let's say that we want to generate contents from a news source. Okay, so already you can see how these two strategies can play out. We want to be able to get the information about the company from our Airtable. So we need to search records from our Airtable in this case. And we're going to use the same Airtable as we created last week, the one with the company information in it. So we're looking at the Bataza content system here. What we're going to do is we're going to want the company information. Now, why do we want it? Because it has all that information preloaded into it about what their hero items are with a URL. So we filled that information in last week when we filled in this table here. You can see that we can see their hero items, and this is their main hero item that we're going to play with today. Now, I've also mentioned that I like to use an aggregator. We're not sure if prior to this, we might not want another information source that doesn't exist in our table yet. As an example, you're indexing lots of information from lots of different sources. Well, just using the same tactics over and over again is going to make the content pretty boring. So one way that I get around this is to create a separate page in the Airtable to collect loads of information about trends that are happening that week within the industry. But to keep it simple today, we're just going to create a strategy that will create content around their products and one strategy that will look at news sources within their industry of cryptocurrency. Now, when I build these, usually we could have multiple tactics, multiple ways to build content. In some cases, we're doing 500-600 posts a month. But today we'll do two strategies to keep it very simple. But I want to set your mind going so that you can see how effective this could be. Maybe we want to build a stream of information in Airtable. Maybe we want to use newsletters. Okay, so let's just go back and build out the rest of this sequence here. And what we're going to need to do now is we're going to need to scrape that URL. So we want to scrape the URL, and we've just looked at this hero product. So we've got the company information, and there's the hero item that we can start researching. So we can get the information about the hero item, and we can download that information as a text parser, and we'll turn that HTML from that web page into text. And once we've got the text from the web page, we might want to feed that into a ChatGPT module, and we'll ask it to summarize the information on the web page for research. So just to keep it simple here, please summarize the information about this product so the marketing assistant can do more research about how this product could be used in the industry. Okay, great. So let's just set that to 0 to keep it simple. I'm not sure how this one will turn out. I'm kind of building it on the fly, but you can start to see how we can piece this all together. Okay, the next module we want to add, we'll just use a different AI just to keep it interesting. Today, 0 tokens, set the user, and we can ask it to create some sort of information where we can spawn a blog. Based on the text below, create a use case for a target audience. Then we can insert the result here, and maybe we also want to add a perplexity module. Again, we're just building information around this product so that we can make a varied blog every time. And we'll use the GPT module as well. We'll set it in here. We can say, provide background research for this product and industry on the content below. And then we just press OK. Now, another thing that I like to do is add URLs into the content. So for this reason, I'm going to use a text parser. So I want to match elements in this case. So to match the element, it might be a web page. So we can select the text, which is the data from the HTTP module. And we'll want to parse out the URLs from the original web page so that we can use these URLs in our blog. So then we can create a GPT module. Again, it could be any AI module at this point to create that blog. And then we will select user and we'll say, please create article for a blog for the company name, or maybe we'll get that. You are a copywriter at company name. Please use the following sources of information to create a blog. And then we might want to say what it is. So we could have the use case of the content here. And we could also have the background research here. Now, usually when I'm doing this for a client, I will go into far more depth and make it much more structured to be able to produce a blog that is very sophisticated in style and tone. And then I also want to ensure insert the URLs. Into content. Again, when I'm creating this for a client, I have a much more rigid structure, but today we'll just keep it simple for speed. Then you can understand how you can utilize this format in your own content practices. Now, I've created an article, and what this article is now effectively serving as is a basis of information for the social media content to be produced. It also gives us consistency between the blog and the social media content for the business. In the next module, you'll know what's coming if you're a regular viewer of this channel, which is the topic title. So we want to add a title so that when we index this or we put this information into our content system, we'll know where it's come from. Please create a short and catchy title based on the content below. Okay, so we will leave that there for now. 0 tokens, again, keeping it simple. And just as a means of organization, I will add a Word document or a Google Doc. What is it called? It's called a Google Doc, exactly. So we want to create this document and add it to the file system for this client, Bitaza. The name we'll get from here and the content we'll get from here. And the drive we will get from our drive. Here you can see we're selecting the Autopilot blogs, which is the blogging made completely with no human interaction. Now, Google Docs likes to output in HTML. So for that reason, I'm going to add a couple more layers onto this prompt, which will be output in HTML format. And also another thing that people ask me very often is how do I remove this annoying feature of ChatGPT, which is remove and then for HTML from output. Okay. And then we have it. We can run this as a blog and we can see if it works. So let's just delete this RSS for now. Do we want to? Let's just put Google in there, just keep it happy. Let's give it a run and just check the output. What is it? Tokens greater to 1. Okay, so it doesn't work the same as ChatGPT. Okay, we have an error here. My mistake. It doesn't work the same as ChatGPT, so let's give it another go. And you can see that we can step in here and we can look at what's been created whilst we're waiting for it. So it's telling us the target audience. It's giving us a scenario. Now the scenario's got a person in it. I don't like when it does that because it feels kind of fake. So we can adjust this prompt later on to say different kind of things like do not include scenarios which are fake, okay? So let's look at the research that's been done about this product. Okay, that's cool. See, it knows a lot. This is cool. That's good information. And then we can see here, it's running more than once. So what's happening there is this, I imagine, has different outputs and it's running all these outputs over and over and over again. So we need to stop that. And we're going to introduce a little solution here to stop that from happening. And the solution that we're going to introduce is a text aggregator. Now, what the text aggregator will do, because there's more than one output here that you can see there's a lot of outputs, what we can start to do is ask it to bundle these outputs. So we can match the elements here and we can then aggregate it all into one. So we can group it. We don't need to. Let's have a look and see if we can aggregate all of that information so that we don't end up with loads of different inputs. And what we can also do whilst we're waiting is give it more instruction. Please do not introduce any fake names of people or websites into the use case. Okay, let's see what happens now. We'll just straighten that out and we'll run it again. Scenarios run. Let's just check the blog. Here we've got the first one and we seem to have the second one here. So let's have a look at this. Comprehensive cryptocurrency platform for Southeast Asian enthusiasts. That's relatively true for a first time round. I'll accept it. We've also got an in-text hyperlink that we can click on. That works. And this works because we're passing it from the product page. So we know that it's a robust source of URLs. And we have a very long article here, which is great. It's not easy to always create good, sturdy, long articles. So let's just check the information. Let's just see the word count of this. Okay, 700, 800 words. That's not bad for a first time round. We can create it. There's still things that we could do to improve the article, but overall, for a first time attempt, not bad. But we are focused on social media today. So we've got to take this source of information and now develop social media contents from it. So if I want this as a blog, of course, I want to grab this information and then put it into our Airtable. There are different ways that we can do this. We can put social media as a different route to blogging and then have two different ways to create content. But today we're just going to update a record for our social media contents. That's not right. We're going to create a record for our social media table. First of all, we're going to create this as a blog, and we want to go to the Bitaza system, and we then want to put this in as blog contents. We can make it better. We will do refinements after the video, but just for now, to keep things moving very quick, we can grab the name of the article, and we can even grab the content. But the content in this case, I'm going to grab from here. At the moment, it's in HTML. So let's just say that we don't want it in HTML for the table so that people can see what they're reading. What we can also do is use a text parser to convert that text from the HTML back into non-HTML. So we just click in here, and then we want to change the content input from the GPT module to the text parse module. We'll set this as draft if we want to draft it, or we can change the publishing date. There's different ways that we can do this. We can leave it blank, such as we want to set it, and we can set the status to draft. Or if we want to make it so that it publishes automatically, what we can also do is use this function down here. So you can see down here, it says add seconds, minutes, hours, and days. We might want to say, okay, we want to publish this on 3 days from now, where we can go 3 days, and then we hit the now. And this formula will make sure that in 3 days from now, this will publish. So it will fill out the publishing date here and say 3 days from now, please publish this content. The author, we can add the author's name, but in this case, we might want to say Bitaza or Stop AI. Image, we haven't generated an image for this, and we could effectively add an image. Let's make it so that we add an image just to keep it simple, and we won't generate that today. The content link we can take from the before document, so the view here, and the webhook we will leave blank for the time being. Just give that a quick save. To continue with our example, we want social media, which is the area we're focusing on today. And we said that we're going to do Facebook and Instagram. And as previously mentioned, there's 4 different routes that we can take. So we want to add content into these ideas later, and that content could come in the form of an image, or that content could come in the form of a video. Now that's important to know because we want different tones, we want different styles for each of those platforms. Let's start by adding a GPT module to these strings here. So we can just add one here, one there, and one here, and finally a last one here. Now, I like to name these routes so I know what it's producing. So we can call this IG image, and we can call this one Instagram video, so we know if it's going to be made for a reel. And then we can add this one as Facebook image. And then finally, Facebook video. And it's just for me to keep it organized so that I know what's going to what, and then I can start to adjust the tone that will write the content for this video. And then this will give me ideas what I can talk about in the video so that I can upload a video into this later on, and all the information is already there so that when it gets to the certain publishing date, we just publish it straight out of the channel. So let's just continue to build this, and then we'll come back into that in a moment. So we need to create a record here. And the record that we're going to create, to keep in line with everything that we've done in the previous video, let's just add this to our content database. And then after that, we are going to want to create a table to add it to our social media contents. Social media content, great. And then the post title and everything is going to get carried on from the previous module. Okay, so this one is the Instagram video. So let's just jump back into here, and it will say the type, and the source today is the always on automation. So if I just jump back into the content database that we created last week, you can see here that under source, we have the label always on automation. So this is just running in the background, producing content ideas that you can use. And then we can filter our table to tell us what type of content we want in here. Now, we don't have a content link. We'll leave that blank for now, or we could add the blog link. It's really up to us. I mean, what I will probably do later is make it so that when we add an image or a video, we can fill or populate this content link, but it's not super important today. So we will do publishing date. That's going to be the same. The title we have as the title of the blog, and the copy we haven't created yet, but it's going to come from this GPT source. And the content creation date is today. Therefore, we know when it's created. The type, you can see here, we only have Facebook blog. So we have to jump back into our information source here. And we want to be able to update type. And we're going to make that in line with our other content. So we've got Facebook image, and we had Instagram image, and we also need Instagram Reel and Facebook Reel. Okay, so we can check in here, platform, and we've put Reel. Yeah, so it all lines up right now. So let's just jump back into here, and we can have a look at what's going on. Just double check it. Everything looks good. We'll add the content later. It's best to add our own videos, and we'll just take these modules here and copy them. And we'll just do paste. And we need to change from Instagram image to Instagram video. Just a quick point here, you can see that it hasn't refreshed. Okay, so what we want to do is click OK, and it must be the same in this one here. So we can just click refresh, this little button here. And what it will do is it will drag the new information that we've just put in our table. So we can start to see where it says Instagram, Facebook, and image. So this would be the image. And we can come down here and we can change the type to an Instagram image. Okay, cool. And we set up. And then here is much the same. What's the type? We need to give it a refresh. This is the old version of the data. And then once we've corrected that, we come back down, select the type, and we can see this is an Instagram Reel. We've called it video, so just for consistency, let's just jump back in here, update it to say Reel, and we're good to go. Let's take these, just copy these modules, paste them here, and then we'll link it up. And again, all we need to do now is update the information and just double check that the information is updated in here too. Okay, so now we have these all complete. We can just quickly jump onto the second line, and I'll quickly go through all of these as well. So the way to do this fast and also to make it so that if something changes, you don't need to change it, is to basically just copy everything across. So for example, if we wanted to add the content link, which we don't have right now, we can do that. The publishing date, we can do that. The platform we just select here. So this one is the Instagram image. So we select Instagram image, and the status, which is important, will run as scheduled. Since our publishing date is 3 days, it gives us time to check and review the content, which is super important because we know that it's never perfect. There's always little tweaks that can be made. So we just want to set that as so. And now I'm going to quickly do the rest of the 3, and I'll be back in 1 moment. Okay, so I just completed all of these. So as you can see, just clicking in, dragging the content over from the previous module and changing the platform to match. So they're all working. Now we want to be able to adjust the content. So let's make a Instagram image caption. And the Instagram image caption we can do with any, actually. I think I'll use mini. It gives us a chance to save some data. And plus, we don't need anything too heavy because we've already created the content. So just to keep it simple, so we'll use the previous text passed here, which is the content. So please create a short, simple caption for Instagram based on the content below. So we're going to run this. It won't be perfect the first time round, but what it will enable us to do is come back and adjust it. So if in the future we want emojis, we can say, please use 1 or 2 emojis. Maybe we want 5 emojis. Maybe we want 10, but you can see that we can personalize or tailor this output to the strategy that we have in the corresponding row. So for example, it might use hashtags. Maybe we don't want it to use hashtags. So we just add here, do not include hashtags. And you start to see that we can modify it based upon the platform. We can delete Instagram here, and we can put Facebook. And then we can also use the text. And we'll just put, I like to put this in quotation marks so it is aware. And I'll also just jump back and do that for the caption above. So here, just makes it clear and easy for the machine to read. Okay, and then we can do that for the next couple of modules. For me, the text today won't be that varied, but you will start to understand that you can change it in whichever way you want. And just to give a bit of variation, let's do that here. So we can say, please do not use emojis. Okay, and then maybe for this one, we want hashtags. So we can then change it and include hashtags. And already we've got 4 different ways of using this. Let's just delete that and say, please include 3 hashtags. Okay, so we've all got different content for each of the following. So this is Facebook. This one is also Facebook, so this one's wrong. Need to change it here. Instagram. Okay. So we have different inputs and we have different outputs. So if we just give this another run, we will see it populate the Airtable. Okay, brilliant. So we've got our first set of content being produced here, and you can see some with emojis, with probably without an emoji, some with 3 hashtags, and it's got these little quotations. So the first thing that I want to do, as we want this to go onto the channels, is we want it to produce without the quotations. Which again, we can see here. We've got the content. Yeah, okay, great. So we're starting to produce blogs and social media completely on autopilot here. So I'm going to add another element here, which is remove quotation marks and then brackets this from the output. Okay, and we can take that and just add that into each module, and then we can ensure that when the caption comes out, it won't have the quotation marks on it. So we want to ensure that it doesn't have the quotation marks by adding this additional input into our ChatGPT modules. So just moving with a bit of speed. Now, we've got one strategy. We need to make sure that we can get another strategy, right? So we want a strategy for the news sources. So one way in which we can do this is we can copy this module and we can add it here. And we're going to need a HTTP module because we want to extract information from the RSS feed that we're following. So we'll stick this in here and we'll make that go down there. And we can add the information from this previous RSS source, which doesn't seem to be picked up, okay? And maybe it's because it's got a fake URL. So we need an RSS feed. So let me go get an RSS feed. Okay, so I've just grabbed an RSS feed here, and we can see that it's linked through that information. So this is just from a news source as an example, and we want that URL from the feed to be able to get the information. And now we're going to need to use a HTML to text just to make it easier for our modules to understand. And we're going to need the data. So this is the wrong one. So if we just delete that and we say make a request, and we can make a request to the latest updated article here. So we can get this. We might want to select post just to make it more clean. And then the header can be the title. And if we press OK, we'll get that in HTML. And then we can use this data into a sequence. And from the sequence, we can then start to ask different parts of the machine to do something. So we can say, recreate this article for the brand, and then we can just add Bitaza as the example, and then we can say do not include any fake names. And then here we want to take the result, so it can be the background research based upon this text. Again, I'm not sure how this will turn out, and we don't actually need this to get the information unless we were going to link to this website, and we're not going to do that in this case. So I'm going to remove this part of the sequence. I'll delete these and then just edit here. We won't include any URLs, and there we go. We can press save, and now we've got 2 tactics to create content for both our blog and social media. So you can see here from this one sequence we can create 8 social media posts. Now, images, we can generate images for. Videos, we will use our own content. It's really up to you. It really depends upon your personal preference, the client preference, but as an example, this is how we can start to do it. Now, the next thing I'm going to do to make sure that there's no overlap and to give ourselves time is I'm going to change this publishing date here. So for example, I need to come here and it's set to 3, but what if we want extra days in between. So maybe we want it every 3 days and this to run once a week. So we're producing 2 sets of content every week. So then I can change it. This will be published 3 days from now, and this will be published 6 days from now, which gives us time to create the content to fit the topic idea. So the next part of this sequence is to actually create a way to extract the information from our Airtable here to the API. So we've got these different social media contents that is now produced. So we want to be able to actually publish these on the platform. And I'm going to quickly show you how that can be done. So the next part of creating this content generation machine is being able to publish the content that we've created for the social media to the channels. So we want to ensure that we can grab information from the Airtable, which will populate information in here, and then we want to be able to publish it. To do that, we need to create a webhook. So we just press create webhook here, and then we get the webhook. So we'll take this webhook from here, and we've just got to jump back into our Airtable, and we come across to the end here, and we need to set this default value. And now we've got the default value set, it will publish this webhook every time a new record is created. From there, we need to create an automation that will send the information from this table to the webhook. The other thing I just want to check is we want to enable it so that people can actually add records. So you want to tick this edit records in line column, and what that will then enable people that are viewing this as in the client to do is add their own content. So today, just to demo, we're going to create a Facebook reel. So we want to upload the content in there as a video. The topic idea has actually come from the creation system in line with the strategy that we've started to engineer. So we're just going to set it as this, and I'm actually going to change the publishing date to today. And then what we'll do is we'll send that out of the API. So just want to come back out of preview mode and then jump into the automation to set the automation up to send information to the webhook. So we click automation and we want to create a new automation. And this automation is going to be similar to the one that we created last week, which is when the time, so when the publishing date is the date of whenever it is. So when the publishing date is today, we want to trigger this as a sequence. And we also want to find the record that has that date in it. So select the social media. Okay, cool. And then we want to run the script that we're going to create. We'll do that last. And then finally, upon that, we want to update the record, and we want to ensure that when the record has run, so we select the table, the record ID will be from this find here. So we want to select this record, and we want to choose the field, which will be the status, and we want to change the status to published. Now we're going to jump back and quickly edit this script. So here is the script. I've just inserted the webhook that's in the table. Okay, so we need to input the variable as social ID here, okay. And the value is going to be in our found record. So we want the record ID. Okay, great. So we want to pass the information. We haven't run this, so we need to then change it. So let's just put this, on condition. And the condition is where the date, where the publishing date is today. Okay, so Okay, that should be good. Let's see if it works. Yeah, that's fine. And then we can test defined records. So let's test this action as well. Yeah, that's exactly what we want. And then we could run this script. So let's just test that the script is working. Okay, so let's run this. So we're running the module. And then we want to test this action. Okay, and we can see here it has sent the record ID. That's great. So now we know that the system is working. What we want to do is we want to get a record. So we want to get the record of that content that's in the social media table. So again, Bitar's a content system. We go to the table. The table that we're looking for is the social media outputs table, and the record ID is here. Then we want to set up a router because we're going to send it to different platforms. So remember earlier when we had the different ways of publishing, this is where it comes in useful. So this might be our Instagram image. This one will be our Instagram reel. This one will be our Facebook image. And this one will be our Facebook reel, which is the one we're going to publish today. And what we want to do is where we have the condition here, we want to say when the platform is equal to Facebook reel, send it to this route. Facebook reel. Press OK. OK. And then we repeat for the different columns. So this one can be platform when it is equal to Facebook image. We press OK. When the platform is equal to IG reel, and when the platform here is equal to Instagram image. These must be set up exactly how it says in the Airtable to make it super efficient. Otherwise, it's not going to pass through any. Then we're going to need to have the different ways of grabbing that content. So this one is to create a photo. This one will be to create a video, so reel in this case. This one here is the Facebook image. So this will be Facebook pages, create a post with photos. And then this one here will be the Facebook reel. So that would be upload a video. Okay, great. And I just want to set this to my connection down here. Select the page today because we're just testing. I'm going to set it to stop and then delete it later. So this looks good. And then we can fill out the contents here. So again, this is just testing. I will delete this content as soon as I've posted it, but you can get the idea for what we want to do here. The photo URL is going to come from here, and the caption is the content. And we just add, and we do the same with the next one, which will be the reel. And we want to select the page, and the page for this, we'll just put a stub because we're not going to use it. And then you can already see the video URL here. And then finally the caption, which will be the content. And then the same for the Facebook page. We'll use the stub connection here. And we'll set that to there. And the data that we can set as the URL for now. And we might need to test that and see if that works. For example, some might require the data to be downloaded. And one way to do that would be to use a HTTP to get a file. So we can see here, it downloads a photo from the URL. So just in case that is the case, you just add get the image, and then you change where it says data to data from the image URL, and the caption would be the content. So you could even click it here instead of mapping it. And then the caption, yep, that makes sense. And I think we're good to go. Let's just double check. But let's just put topic for now. So we're uploading that as a video, and the description in this case is the content. So that makes sense. And there we go. So there we have it. Okay, we've got the router, we call the API, and we want to publish to Facebook. So let's just go back and run this test the whole way through. And we'll have to quickly give this a run. So with any luck, it will run and everything will be good. So it's going to grab this. I'll switch this on. It's today. So hopefully, since this is today, set to scheduled, the automation will start to run, and we shall see it run very shortly. Okay, so now that's run, we can see that it selected the right path. It went to the Facebook. I'm just going to type in the stop AI, and we'll be able to see that it has sent this video that I uploaded straight out to the platform. What we'll also see is that in the table, the status has changed to published. And to the client, on the client interface, we can also see that that will be updated. And there we go. The video that we uploaded has now been published onto the reel. So it gives us chance to be able to check the contents like in different views, modify the contents, and ensure that every single piece of content that is published is to the spec of either you or your client. So there you go. That's how you can generate content completely on autopilot. Get the machine to do the heavy lifting so that you don't have to continuously research about your industry or create different tactics to be able to generate content at scale. All you need to do is pre-program a machine to have a sequence that actually is a reverse engineered way in which you would produce content for either yourself or your client. This is just part 2 of an ongoing series. So if you want to continue to watch how we can build this AI social media content system together, then please do hit subscribe, and I'll have plenty more content to come to show you how we can continuously make this suitable for the industry or the client or your own business. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video.